Hey, hey, hey. It's a brand new day because today is a new edition of the Rundown with Ramon. Glad you're here today. My name is Ramon Ray, publisher of zoneofgenius.com. Hope you're doing great today at the Rundown with Ramon. All we ask is 30 minutes, give or take of your time to give you the top 10 things you need to start your business, build a better business, or live a great life. And I'm glad you're here today. My name is Ramon Ray. I've started 5 companies, sold 3 companies, authored 5 books, and I want to help make you a success today. How's your day going, by the way? Is your day going pretty good? Or as you say, Ramon, it's not going so great. Either way, I hope your time with us today helps your day get better. I often say on this show, if you haven't taken the time to tell somebody that you care, haven't taken the time today to tell somebody that you love them, haven't taken the time today to tell somebody that they matter, why don't you do that? Some of the ways that we can have a better life, some of the way that we can embrace who we are is by giving to others, and not giving our money necessarily, but by giving of our emotion, giving of our care, giving of who we are. That's some ways that we can make the best life we can live. You're in for a treat today because this is a special edition of the Rundown with Ramon, baked just for you. And I'm glad you're here. If you want to connect with me, DM me on Instagram, Ramon Ray Smart Hustle, Ramon Ray Smart Hustle. Let me know how we can make the show better. Let me know if you got tips or insights from me that we can share on the Rundown with Ramon. With that, let's get started with a brand new edition of the Rundown with Ramon. Ding, 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 ding. Redundancy has a half life, says Seth Godin. I want you to sit up and pay attention to this latest blog post, a recent blog post from Seth Godin, as he talks about redundancy. He always shares a great story, something that gets us thinking. Seth Godin has a picture here that I'm looking at of a stop sign. Underneath the stop sign is another sign that says, "This is a stop sign." And again, the title of Seth Godin's little post here today is Redundancy Has Half a Life. At first, this stop sign makes a lot of sense. At first, it does. Lives are at stake. Break the rhythm, then turn something ignored into something noticed. The challenge, says Seth Godin with highlighting, is that it fades. When everything is in all caps, nothing is. Exclamation points are like salt. Do you understand that? Sometimes too much, we can be, too much, we can be underlining, too much, we can be pointing. And when that's done too much, invariably, people don't notice it. Why do you think advertisers spend gazillions of dollars advertising and making their ads different? Why? Because of, hey, because of getting attention. Seth Godin goes on. He says, exclamation points are like salt. When people are commanded to pay attention, it's worth reminding ourselves that we're asking for payment. When we're asking for attention, you watching me right now on the Rundown with Ramon, there's something else that you could be watching, but you decided to watch me on the Rundown with Ramon. That attention is scarce. Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this all the time, that we're in the attention economy and that we waste it all the time, says Seth Godin. When we prioritize our pattern breaks, rotate them and keep them fresh, we're more likely to get the useful attention we need. In a free market for attention, someone is always racing to the bottom. In a free market for attention, someone is always racing to the bottom. Listen, this nugget from Seth Godin is powerful, and especially you marketers out there, I hope you pay careful attention to this. I hope you pay careful attention because as marketers, my friend Jason Pfeiffer said a very similar thing. We need consistency. People want us to show up consistently time and time again. Yes, but we got to be different. We have to pop and sizzle. People shouldn't expect and know what we're going to deliver. My name is Ramon Ray. If you're just joining, this is the Rundown with Ramon. I'm so glad you're here today because if you weren't here today, what kind of show would that be? Me being here alone without you, but you're here today and you make that show extra special. So thanks for being here. Ding, 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 ding. I'm a personal trainer. Here's how I spend about $100 a week at Costco to feed my family of six. I thought this would be interesting to unpack how this personal trainer spends $100 a week, that's $400 a month, to feed his family of six. Now, I hope I can unpack it properly. This is pretty dense reading this on Business Insider, but maybe some nuggets in here will help you. For a week's worth of food, I spent $102.08 on dinner time staples, produce, and snacks for my kids. Seal Test cottage cheese is great for making dips, and Burn Brave farm eggs are a breakfast staple. So let's dive into this a bit more. I like to stock up on red aisle potatoes. Potatoes are a family favorite, and we eat them mashed, roasted, or baked, or put them in soups or curries. So potatoes is one thing that this writer, and I should get the name of the trainer here. Let me get the name of the trainer. I can attribute that to who it is. Rachel McPherson. Rachel McPherson's talking about this. So uh, uh, red aisle potatoes is one. Then goes on, not only red aisle potatoes, but goes on and let's see as I scroll here, Seal Test cottage cheese is a great source of protein. Seal Test cottage cheese. Who would have thought? Seal Test cottage cheese, my top choice for protein, is high in calcium and more affordable than the Greek yogurt that I've seen. So cottage cheese goes up next. Christopher carrots for stews and stir fries. Now, I don't like carrots, but I know my wife likes to cook with them. So carrots are another great thing. A 10-pound bag is $7 and will last us about a month for $180 per week. So carrots can be a great source for your menu as well, writes this trainer. The fancy Lebanese bakery whole wheat pita bread is a versatile staple in our house. Pita bread is great. It's bread, it fills you up, etc. And I assume it's healthy. These days, I buy garlic in bulk. Garlic in bulk. Again, this fitness trainer is talking about how they spend $100 a week at Costco to feed their family. So garlic is another part of the equation. Dunier harvest chickpeas can be used for hummus or even soup, says the author. Kirkland's signature whole chicken can be used in soups or dinner. So we have carrots, we have pita, we have chicken, we have some other things that were mentioned here. I can go on. But isn't this interesting that when you have a large family, it costs a bit more? And if you're not making a lot of money, especially, and you want your food budget to stretch, be very thoughtful about how you're shopping for food. Kirkland's signature jasmine rice lasts a while. So jasmine rice goes on. Cheddar cheese, this fitness trainer buys, and more. I'm not going to go through the whole list because I think the point is this. We can live healthy lives. We can live healthy lives economically, but it's going to take some thought. If you're scarfing down McDonald's to your family now to eat food, it's going to cost more. It's probably going to be full of a lot of salt and sugar, so it's not going to be healthy for you. So if you want to have cheap, go to a place like Staples, go to Sam's Club, go to maybe another bigger box place. Stock up intentionally for good food. If you just joined, my name is Ramon Ray. This is The Rundown with Ramon, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. If you weren't here with me today, it wouldn't be a great show, but you're here today, and you make it all the more special. Let's see what's next. Ding, 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 ding. How to exercise when you don't want to. We're getting a lot of fitness stuff here. How to exercise when you don't want to. This speaks directly to me. I'm in this category quite a bit. What are some reasons we don't want to exercise? I'm afraid of hurting myself. I feel too conscious. It's too expensive. It's too cold. I've gone through that. I just don't like it. I don't have space. It's too hot. I'm exhausted all the time. I don't have time. I am not a fitness guru by any stretch of the imagination. I guess they'd call me a dad bod plus. But the reason I exercise, I often onto the gym, but I try to consistently do my push-ups and stretches. I know that's a little bit I can do to make me a bit healthier. Now, I have to be cognizant of when I eat, but it's not easy to be healthy lives. The first step experts say is to stop thinking of them as excuses. Just using that word can suggest you failed and should feel bad about your willpower. Research has shown that self-criticism and shame can actually stop you from meeting your goals, says Katie Milkman, a behavioral scientist. Instead, reframe the reasons you aren't exercising as genuine obstacles and devise a plan to overcome them. I asked experts in exercise science and psychology to share their best advice for conquering common reasons people struggle to build an exercise habit. Here's a few things. One, I have no time. If you face a jam-packed schedule, says this article in the New York Times, try starting small, said Kate Baird, an exercise psychologist. If you feel you don't have time, instead of carving out 30 to 60 minutes, what can you do? Plan several short bursts of movement throughout the day. You don't have to do it all at once. Take a few laps around the block during lunch instead of trying to get a 5-hour workout in. Another thing that people often say, and these are real things, I've been there, I'm sure you may have been there, but these are real things that people say, is I feel what? I feel self-conscious. I feel people looking at me, conscious. I feel self-conscious. Hard for me to say the word conscious. If the thought of working out in front of other people makes you feel you want to crawl into a hole, know that you have options. The gym can be really intimidating. But what about exercising in your room, in your home, buying some weights and doing it on your own? But first, remind yourself why you're there. Whether it's to feel stronger or to train for a race, reconnecting with your goal can help you so that you can push out the people looking at you, thinking they're thinking negative thoughts about you. And let me give you a secret. They're probably not even paying attention to you. They're probably not even noticing you. And many of them are feeling just as a bit squeamish as you are. So don't let the thought of feeling self-conscious, don't let that get in your way. I don't want to spend money. You don't need a fancy gym to get fit, says Grayson Wickham, a physical therapist in New York City. You don't need a fancy gym. You can do a jump rope, get some free weights, go outside, spend time in nature, download a free workout app. It doesn't take a lot of money to get healthy. It's too cold or it's too hot is another excuse that people say. A shift in temperature doesn't have to be a bad thing. Think of the change in temperature as an opportunity to try something new. So listen, can I just break this down to you? I ain't some Harvard, Yale, fancy NYU psychologist. But part of the aspect of being healthy, part of the aspect of living a healthier life, and I may come back to this, is reframing how we think of it. Sometimes we think of the health that we have, again, reading here from the Wall Street Journal, reading here about being healthy and living healthy habits, pardon me, not from the Wall Street Journal, from the New York Times, is a negative thing. But we need to reframe our mind to thinking of it as a positive thing. I don't have space is another excuse that many people make. If you have room for a mat, you have enough space to get in a great workout. Dr. Phillips said you can get stronger and in better shape and more flexible in just a few square feet, as long as you can comfortably move your arms and legs without bumping into a wall or furniture. You don't need a lot of space to live healthier. Remove the excuses, remove the negativity. I'm in pain. Now, it might seem counterintuitive, but for those who struggle with forms of chronic muscle or joint discomfort like low back pain, neck pain, or pain from osteoarthritis, or et cetera, chronic pain is awful, says this article that I'm reading, and you should consult with your doctor about this. But for many people, being inactive is adding to that pain. So you're saying you're in pain, but ironically, the reason you're in pain, study shows because you're not moving. Listen, I want to move forward here. I may go back on this. This is some juicy stuff. My name is Ramon Ray. This is the Rundown with Ramon. I hope you're enjoying this. All we ask is 30 minutes of your time to give you the top 10 things you need to live your best life or grow your business. If you just joined, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for your attention. We want to make your life better. Let's move forward. Ding, 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 ding. What's up next is distracted, forgetful, and hooked on smartphones, says the article. Why more women are being diagnosed with DHD, says an article in the Wall Street Journal. This is not an article against women. This is what the science say. Many who have the disorder are overly hooked on tech, but they also need it to get through the day. Diagnosis of ADHD are surging in a surprising group: adult women. Doctors who treat them are looking at smartphones as both a contributor and a cure. The attention deficit hyperactivity disorder diagnosis rate is much smaller for adults than it is for children. So children have it more. And it has traditionally skewed male, but it has nearly doubled from 2020 to 2022, fueled by a surge of women, according to an analysis of nearly 4 million US patient records by medical record software company Epic Systems. So let's see and unpack what this means, if any nuggets we can do. The tech dilemma. Lori says an oncology nurse and mother of two in Indianapolis had 3 panic attacks a little over a year ago. She was 48 at the time, and her doctor said the attacks were a symptom of ADHD brought on by the shifting hormones of menopause. So there's medical reasons for it. I would have Facebook up, be watching my housewives, and be looking at my calendar at the same time. Distracted. The reasons for the rise in adult female ADHD diagnosis include greater awareness of the symptoms and changes in diagnostic criteria. So again, I'm not going to go on with all this, but my encouragement to you all, my encouragement to the ladies out there, we know you have your families to take care of. We know you're the managers of your home. We know you got so much going on. You got your alarm clocks. You got all kind of things you're doing. And my encouragement of you, don't let the world own you. You should own the world. Don't live a life full of distractions. Don't live a life full of, full of distractions, full of where you feel that you have to do all the things. Because if you're too distracted, you're no good to your family. If you're too distracted, then you're not going to live your best fulfilled life. Listen, my name is Ramon Ray. This is The Rundown with Ramon. We want you to live your best life. Think about what kind of life you want to live. Take a minute. Think about what kind of life you want to live. Living the life that you want to live is so important. And these are real things that go on in our life. I'm distracted, like hello, like a squirrel. But I encourage you today, get help. And sometimes it's a matter of the will. Sometimes it's a matter of the will to say, hey, listen, I'm going to put this down. I'm going to focus on this. But let's move forward. Ding, 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 ding. Is your office rent worth it? Interesting article here. Is your office rent worth it? Associated Press, a reporter that I know, May Anderson, talks about this. And she writes, Ralphie is a law of practice and acts as an alternative lender in Denver, is adapting to changing preferences of clients who would rather conduct business online or in a less professional setting like a coffee shop. More and more people are seeing the tall, big glass office buildings. Maybe they don't need them anymore. The pandemic has had a transformative effect on the office space landscape. Many businesses are shifting away from traditional spaces toward hybrid work and more flexible, collaborative spaces. Are you finding that that's happening in your business? Are you finding that where you used to think you needed the regular big kind of office, but now you're realizing maybe you don't? Maybe you can do with a smaller office. Maybe you can do with no office. Maybe you can meet more clients in a coffee shop. Maybe you can use more of a co-working space. There's many other alternatives, many other options to getting a traditional regular office. What say you? I'm curious what you're doing in your life. I'm curious what you're doing in your business towards that. Are you more the no, I need an office with a front door receptionist, or I can just work from home and do a lot of online video calls, and or I can use the proverbial coffee shop or temporary workspace? I don't know. That's a call for you to make, but you're finding more and more people, says studies, says research, says the article, that maybe a traditional office rent is not worth it. Again, my name is Ramon Ray. This is The Rundown with Ramon. Thanks for being here. Ding, 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 ding. Remote workers bear the brunt when layoffs happen. I'm curious why that is. I believe I have the answer, and I want you to listen to this very carefully. Why is it that remote workers are bearing the brunt when layoffs happen? This is important. And I haven't even gone throughout the whole research on this, but let me explain to you why. And I want you to remember this as you're looking for remote work, as you're building, and this is the proverbial word, building relationships. When you're working remotely, you have a different relationship, a different environment, a different connection to your employee, to your boss, to your boss's boss than others do who are in the office. Remote work is good. I like working remote. I like working from home. But there's also the importance of being able to connect to other people. And when it's time to be laid off, or when it's time to be fired, and you're not in the office, you don't have that FaceTime. Now, if you work for a large company, thousands of people, they hit a button and whatever happens. But especially with a smaller company, they're thinking, who's productive? Who do I like to be around? We may not want to hear that bias, but the world is a biased place. Who do I like to be around? Who do I want to be around? And you'll find that oftentimes remote workers may get the bad end of that shift. As we unpack again, this is in the Wall Street Journal. We went overboard in hiring during a strong economic period and veered away from our core principles. Wayfair is laying off people. Out of sight, out of mind. This is exactly what I was talking about, says the article. Given that many layoffs over the past years have been concentrated in tech, a remote-friendly industry that overhired during the pandemic, it's not surprising that people working exclusively from home have been harder hit, says George Penn with Gartner. This is a real thing. Out of sight, out of mind. When you're not at the coffee cup machine, you're not at the water cooler, you're not having lunch with Becky, Marvin, and Jose. When it's time for layoffs, you're not there. You're out of sight. I'm sure you're productive, but you're just another channel in Slack. The human connection is not as strong, so you're behind, maybe on the line, to be fired first. This is an important thing. Bosses don't think you're actually doing work because they can't see what you're doing, she says. They assume everything takes 10 minutes, and why haven't you finished it yet? But you forget all the chit chat, all the talking, all the work that doesn't happen in an environment. Easy come, easy go. Alyssa Sieski, a talent acquisition specialist based in San Antonio, says that as a fully remote worker, she's aware of the risks. They're easy to get rid of you. You can't put a face to a name. There's no, listen for it. There's no personal connection, she says. So my point is, I'm all about work-life balance. I'm all about the power of remote work. But let me tell you, there's pros and cons to everything. And when it comes time for somebody to be let go, come time for somebody to be fired, the person who's not there, who's out of sight, out of mind, they may be hurt first. My name is Ramon Ray. This is The Rundown with Ramon. Let me know what you think about remote work. Let me know what you think about layoffs. DM me on Instagram, Ramon Ray Smart Hustle, and let me know your experience with being out of sight, out of mind, and how that affects your work. Moving on. Ding, 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 ding. 7 social selling trends to leverage this year from our friends at HubSpot. I thought this was pretty interesting. Social selling via social media, as it were. Salespeople are building their influence on social media. It's not just enough to make cold calls or sell traditionally. You should be, as my book talks about, the celebrity CEO of your industry. Salespeople should be rocking social media. Choosing social media channels that support community building. Is it just you going out, or are you also building community? Building trust and credibility online is increasingly crucial. Trust and credibility are important. And when you're using the power of social media, guess what? That trust and credibility are skyrocketed, are enhanced, are increased. Trust and credibility are so important. As I mentioned, I talk about this in my book, Celebrity CEO. It's not about sales. It's about first building trust. And before you build trust, you have to get attention. Moving forward here, social selling tips, trust and credibility. We talked about approaching social media as a lead finding channel. Find your next lead via social media. Getting attention to the right audience. Eventually, people will want to work with you and find you. Using direct messages to answer questions and engage prospects. DMs are so important, direct messages. That's how you can engage with the person and take them to the next level to schedule a phone call. Optimizing social media profiles. Is your social media profile worthy to get the attention that you want? Do you have your hair in the way? Do you have no picture? Is it all a greasy, grainy photo? Is it just a default, icon on there? You should customize your social media profile using native social media shopping tools in the sales process. Maybe we'll touch on that in another episode of The Rundown with Ramon. Again, my name is Ramon Ray. This is The Rundown with Ramon. I'm so glad you made the decision to be here today, because if you weren't here, what a show would be. Let's move forward here. Ding, 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 ding. Are you time blind? This aspect means time blindness. Are you so caught up in what you're doing? This article here in U.S. News and World Report. If you struggle with focus and time management, explore effective ADHD productivity tools to conquer time blindness. If you find yourself late, find yourself inefficient with your time, set a little alarm clock to remind you to get back on track. Last 2 points today in the Rundown with Ramon. I hope you're enjoying it. I'm enjoying sharing it with you. I love this. How to quickly succeed in a new role. Congratulations. Congratulations. You got your new role. You got your raise. You got the job you wanted. You got promoted. But how do you succeed in that role, in that new role, writes David, Sylvester, Craig Pryor, and Rob Cross in Harvard Business Review. A role transition, whether a promotion, a move to a new organization, or a fresh challenge in your existing job, can be a huge boost to your career. But how do you succeed in that? You got the boost you wanted. What happens now? Many transitions plus poor onboarding equal big problems. Make sure you're onboarded properly, that you get all the tools you need to succeed in this new role, because it makes no sense for you to get a new role and then fail in that role. Gallup research shows that the cost of replacing an employee is typically 1/2 to 2 times that person's salary. So you want to do yourself a favor. You want to do your employer a favor by being onboarded properly. And those of you who are hiring, make sure you're setting somebody up for success in their new roles. The hyper collaborative environment, that doesn't sound good. Just as important as the frequency and impact of transition is what's going on in the day-to-day work. More and more companies have identified collaboration across disciplines and units as a way to meet the new business goals of ever greater agility. So being more collaborative, it looks like, does help, especially in a new role. The fast mover strategies. In our collective study and analysis of networks, collaboration, and transitions in organizations, we noticed that 10% to 15 times of movers become well connected in 1/4 to 1/3 of the usual time. I can go on here. This is The Rundown with Ramon, where I want to help you live your best life and live a successful life. Moving forward, last point, are you ready for an ocean cruise? We may tackle this in future episodes of The Rundown with Ramon. I've taken a cruise, and guess what? People are loving cruises. What I want you to do now is go out, make a difference in the world. Go tell somebody that you appreciate them. Tell somebody that you like them. Tell somebody that they make a difference. Once again, this is The Rundown with Ramon, and I'm glad you're here today, because if you weren't here today, it'd be a very lonely show. Have a beautiful, beautiful day today, and go make a difference. Thanks for listening.